Hi, I'm Sam, and in this video today, as you can see behind me, I have a Honda E that I'm going to have a little look around, go for a little drive, give you my thoughts. I've had the car for the last 2 days. They've lent it to me to have a little play with, and it's really interesting. It's my first sort of electric car experience, and I've sort of put off looking at them really because I think sort of electric cars, well, they're sort of getting there, but as a small runaround, I think that works quite well as an electric car. You don't have to worry about the range too much. So let's have a look around the car and I will give you my thoughts. Now, from the outside, it's just a funky little car. I think everyone that's seen it, it's a bit quirky. It's got some interesting styling elements on it. That's where you charge it. You can either press this button here. Now, as a complete charging novice, you have 2 different plugs. And if you use the supercharging ones or the quick charging ones, it plugs into both. I think one's AC and one's DC. So you have both options. This has a 36 kilowatt hour battery at home. That's going to take a hell of a long time to charge, for like 14 hours or something like that. Whereas if you have a home charging point, it takes about 6 to fill it up. That's 130 miles of range, but having a poke round. So we've got these little, we've got no wing mirrors, we've got the cameras, which is honestly really weird to use, but you sort of get used to it. I think we take a bit of getting used to the car. Let's have a look around the back. What have we got? We've got the boot. The boot. Now most people carry their cables around, I think. So I've got 2 bags, I've left that one out because that's when I've been charging it at home. But you've got this really quite small boot. I think in reality, if you have to take any luggage, you're going to be folding the seats down and just being 2 people. But it's okay. You can get a bit of shopping and whatnot in there, but not tons of room. But this is where it's all at. The interior. And what they've done with the Honda E, let's get in the car, shut the door, bit less noise. So if you've got the key in your pocket, the car just starts up. You don't actually have to press that, and then it's ready to go, and you've got these massive displays. Now, one slight thing is my driving position is quite close. I would put it quite close. I'd rather the steering wheel could come closer towards you, but you come up with these big screens, and actually because I'm sitting quite close, the angle on these screens is a bit funny. It's completely fine, but if I was sitting back here maybe, everything would be much better to look at. But the main thing when you look around is all of the materials they've used. They've used sort of slightly quirky materials in terms of sort of conventional car type stuff, but like these seats, this is really nice fabric on here. And it's just all the little design elements, simple things they've just designed really well. So in here we have these 3 compartments, but you can just pull out and resize them for whatever you need. And actually that works really well. So at the moment I've got them like this. I generally chuck the keys and whatnot in the back one. I've got the key in my pocket somewhere. There's your key. And then I've got 2 sort of cup holders, put a coffee or whatever in there. Down here, this is the funny things about electric cars. We have, let's just turn off the air conditioning. We've got a 3-point plug, 3-pin plug. You've got a normal, 12 volt. And then you've got an HDMI port. You can connect up. So with this setup, you could connect up your PlayStation or something. I haven't done this yet. To the screens and just chill out. Or you could watch a film or whatever in the car when the battery's on, and it just uses the battery of the car. Here, neatly, I've just noticed this today, there's a little sort of pouch down here, which actually works really well for your cables when you're not using them. Thought that was a really nice touch. Up here, we've got that sunroof, which is nice. In the back, we have these little lights here that come on when you get in the back of the car, and each side, see if I can find it, I don't know, something on the side, and there's a little light switch, and you can turn those on if you're on the back. It's just a really nice place to be. Let's fire it up. Well, fire it up, you sort of press the button here, and then we're ready to go. Put it in D, and that's it. one of the things when you're driving around in this car that you notice straight away, and where my house is, I've got a little area in front of my garage, and there is basically no way to turn around a car in there. So I always either reverse in and then drive straight out, or drive straight in and reverse out. This car, because of it's got a crazy turning circle, and you can just turn around. So you can just do a little 3-point turn, no problem whatsoever. Helped by the fact it's quite short, but then also just the fact that it has a crazy, crazy turning circle. Things that stand out. Well, I think the main one for me that just really kicks in is the design elements of the car. Like, got this funky steering wheel, which has got no holes here, which seems so weird to use. I love the materials. I like all of this stuff. It doesn't feel cheap in any way, shape, or form. It all feels quite nice, which surprised me actually. It was very surprising. Up here, we have the rear view mirror, normal rear view mirror. If you pop this down, you can use the rear view camera. So I don't really like it in normal use, but if you had loads of luggage in the boot or something like that, or it was dark or whatever, you can just pop this and then you can see quite clearly through the camera. The resolution on the cameras, so we don't have any wing mirrors, so we have these two little screens down here and here, it's not quite as clear as I would like it to be, and I'm taking some getting used to, but it's reasonably high res image, and it works well at night and daytime. It's really odd, like reversing into my drive, the posts are quite narrow, and I'm used to sort of watching the wing mirrors and seeing the car, and then just sort of dodging the wing mirrors as you come in. Here, there's no wing mirrors, so you've got that much extra space on the car already. It's an interesting development, and I think overall it's probably quite good. Now I'm going to show you the turning circle here. Straight around that mini roundabout, absolutely no problem whatsoever. Pop my seat further forward. Let's go and check out some deer. We're in Richmond. Range anxiety, that's probably something that I worry about a little bit. This car has, in theory, 137 miles of range. Now it depends on how you've been driving, so whether you're really efficient or not. And I don't know, I think driving on the motorway is not particularly efficient, it's not great, but sort of pootling around town is quite efficient. So in town you probably get, your 137-ish or something like that, and then if you're on the motorway you get a lot less. On here you can have different displays here and here, and you can see what you want. So you can see how much power you're using. If you have the aircon on, it uses a bit more power, and it will say, oh, you're going to get 4 miles extra range if you turn the aircon off. So it just sort of prompts you if you're in the right settings, but you can sort of mess around and have what you want, where you want. CarPlay, it's got all of that sort of stuff. Wireless CarPlay, tons of cars don't have wireless CarPlay now, and it's not actually a massive thing, I would say, because you generally want your phone charging anyway, but just to get in the car and it works straight away, when you can get in like a modern, I imagine a modern Ferrari probably doesn't have wireless CarPlay, so it's quite fun having it in a small little car like this. Space-wise, I sat in the back behind me, and that's not really a problem. Boot space is obviously quite small. I don't think someone's going to be using this car for long journeys, because the range would really have a bit of an effect on that. And you can charge it up, I think, if you stop at some sort of rapid charging point, you can charge it up, I think, in 35 minutes, which is not too bad. I haven't tried it. I did have a trip planned to go up to Silverstone, and then I was going to try and charge it up there, because you can't, that range, the distance was going to be more than 137 miles, and I don't want to be dealing with too much of that if I can help it. So I think if you've got this sort of power pack size or battery pack size, 36 kilowatt hours, you're probably going to want to be charging from home. I don't know, that's just personally, and I can now charge it from home, so it's been fine for me, just getting used to the whole process. This car has a bunch of tech in it. It has this sort of 360-degree protection for your car, so I think if you're going to crash into something, it will slow down. It has lane control and adaptive cruise control and all those sorts of things. And the base price for this car is 31,000, I believe, somewhere around there. And I think for that amount of money to have all of these bits of tech, and I know probably the Model 3 is close, it's more expensive. I think it's another £8,000 more expensive, but that will basically drive itself. To have all of this tech in this little car is quite nice. I'm quite enjoying it, and it feels like a quality product. And it's sort of quirky on the outside. The interior is really nice. It's just a really nice place to be. And it's small. I've sort of forgot what small cars were like. And I would say light, but it's not light. This car weighs 1550 kilos, which is really quite heavy for something that's considered somewhat small. And I guess it's all the battery packs and stuff like that. Driving this car just around town has made me think about how nice it is having little cars. And I've sort of thought, okay, I need to go and drive. The one I want to go and drive is a VW Up, and probably an Up GTI. You could probably take that to the track a little bit, not go particularly fast, but probably maintain a decent amount of cornering speed and have a good laugh. But as a first introduction to electric cars, this has been really cool. And I've just been using it for just round town stuff I've got to do. And it's been really nice, and it gets looks from everyone, random people. But it's just been really cool. I've actually really enjoyed it. I really like the interior. The interior is really nice. It's really refreshing and different. And the charging point, range anxiety. When I see here, it's 85% battery. Now, if I look over here, you can sort of move things around these two screens. They have two different sets of controls, almost as if that was for the passenger because it's so far over there. At the moment, I'm getting 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour. So it's a 36 kilowatt hour battery. It's saying about 102 miles left. But it says 85% battery. Now, I don't know whether you're the sort of person, I'm the sort of person that when my phone gets below sort of 50%, 40%, something like that, I'm always wanting to charge it up. I don't really like running my phone low because I need it, I guess. And then if it gets low and you can't use it, that would really stress me out. Or I don't know when I can charge it, those sorts of things. So that would probably be the same in a car. If it's always based at home and it's always going to come back home, I don't know whether I'd find myself charging it from 85% to 100 like all of the time. Or you just start getting used to that and not do it, which is better for the battery. I think it's better for the battery if you charge it between sort of 20% and 80%, those sorts of amounts, and keep it there. No idea how these batteries will hold up, especially with a sort of, I would say, a small range. I know there's some hybrids that have a sort of 30-mile range, but that's basically nothing. You're charging that all of the time. It's been a really interesting experiment for me to try out, a car to try out, introduce me to this sector. It's so peaceful driving this car around. You just get in and go. Obviously, you don't start the engine, you don't do any of that sort of thing. And that's quite interesting. I'm so relaxed in this car. I'm almost, if you have this sort of lane control and the adaptive cruise control and stuff like that on, I would say I don't know whether it makes you less attentive. I think it probably does make you less attentive because you don't have to be. And that's possibly not a good thing. Like if you're driving down the motorway, you can get really distracted. And I imagine if you're driving a Tesla and it's basically driving itself, you probably aren't paying very much attention. But then at least when you get to the other end, even if you pay half attention, then you're going to be significantly more relaxed. There's not a lot of noise in here. Ride quality, it's pretty good. It's a little bit bumpy, but not bad at all, very good. In terms of, as a city car, I'd say it handles bumps very well, handles speed bumps very well. The ones that are sort of got a gap either side and you can put wheels either side, it's just boom, boom, like you barely notice those ones. And then normal speed bumps, I'm used to sports cars, and this you can just sort of cruise over, which works really well. Function-wise, we've got these paddles behind the wheel, and there's a button down here, which means you can do sort of 1 foot operation. You press that, and then you either press with your right foot, and then when you let off, it sort of slows you down, so it brakes. And I think that's just using regen, which it's a bit weird. It's a very odd thing. I don't think I would necessarily use it. What you can then do is with the paddles, you can change the amount of retardation or not. So if you have it lightly braking when you lift off, it just sort of feels like quite heavy engine braking. That mode, to me, feels really, really odd. But what you can do when you're driving normally is then use the paddles to just slow yourself down a bit. So you see, oh, I'm going to slow down a little bit, and if you're a bit bored and you don't want to press the brakes, you can pull the left paddle and it will slow you down. Add in a bit of the braking, and you can adjust how much that is by just clicking through the paddles. And it stays at that level. And I think it stays at that level until you hit the brakes. Has this convinced me to buy an electric car or a Honda E? Not yet, I think, because my usage of this car most of the time would be sort of long distance journeys, which actually looking at the maths, ignoring the buying price of buying an electric car, it's quite a bit cheaper to run an electric car, and obviously it's better for the environment generally, depending on your power source and those sorts of things, but pretty much definitely better than running like an S4 or something like that. As a little town proposition, if you just did short journeys, maybe the odd 40, 50 miler, something like this would be pretty good. And from a design point of view, I love it. I think it's really fun, it's different, everything is really thought out, designed really well. I really like it. I think it's possibly a bit expensive, but I think that's probably what it costs to make it like this. Whereas something, I keep saying the VW Up, but I know that's a really popular car, and that's about 17,000, I think, for a GTI, something like that. Whereas this is 30. It's quite a lot more. But you do, I guess you get that sort of early adopters tax. I don't know, it's a cool thing. I really, really like it. I really like it. And it's just kind of quirky and fun and small, and I quite like having a small car. But the interior is just designed really nicely. Yeah, it's nice. Nice thing. And there we go, that's it. You could see me just like whipping around and reversing in. There's no way I could do that in another car. Take forever. Summary of my thoughts, I think it's a wicked little car. I really like it. I love the design elements. So many good little bits everywhere. It's just really interesting. It's the first little car in a while that I've really sort of looked at and gone, oh, there's something different and something a bit cool. I know there's a lot of electric cars out there. Competition, a car I've not driven is a VW Up. There is now an E-Up, but I'd just like to go and drive it. I have an Up, see what that's all about. That sounds like quite good fun. But the Honda E, I really enjoyed it. It's a great little car. One of the things I don't think I mentioned is how quick or not quick it is. I think it's 8 point something seconds to 60, which is not crazy fast, but it is actually really quite fast from sort of 10 to 40 miles an hour. That sort of city overtaking type, zipping around. It feels quite zippy. In terms of the weight management and how it would go down a country road, I think it would feel quite heavy. It's not a car you're really going to hustle everywhere, but you can sort of zip about town. Suspension wise, it controls all that quite well. It's not that light. Just around town, it's a really nice, fun, happy car that's got some cool tech in it. Yeah, I really like it. I think if it's something you're remotely interested in, go and check it out, go and get a test drive and give it a go. Thanks for watching the video. If you've enjoyed it, like and subscribe. Also go check out my podcast, Car Chat Podcast. Thanks very much.